Hello and welcome. It is time for the October repurchase review. So if you're not familiar with that, what I do is I go through all of the products featured on my channel during the past month and my thoughts on those at this time. So any updates and things like that. And we'll go through my top 5 favorites from the month as well. And let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start off with the Bobbi Brown holiday collection. So I picked up a few things from that collection, namely these two duos here. So we've got this one here, which has Dream Gleam and Make a Toast. And these are really pretty, in the luxe formula. This one here is the duo that I like the most, but we see these colors all the time from Bobbi Brown. So if you have, chances are you have these colors in your collection, whether it's from Bobbi Brown or somebody else. But each of the duos have the luxe shadows in a matte and a shimmer. This is the other one here. This one has Frosted and Supernova. And my nails, by the way, are very messy. They're actually still wet, so I haven't cleaned them up yet. But they are black for Halloween here. So it's the Gucci black, by the way, which is super smooth. You can see how shiny it is. I don't have a top coat on. I've already dinged these. And yeah, super shiny and very easy to apply. I like the Gucci matte. Or the Gucci black, because sometimes you get those black polishes and they're either a little too runny, so they are even messier to use, or they are a little bit too thick, also making it a little difficult to use. So I think this one has a good texture. And it's pretty opaque. I used 2 coats, but you can actually get away with 1 coat if it is thick enough to begin with. I like to do a very sheer thin coat first most of the time. And even with that thin coat, it's still like at least 80 to 90% coverage. So pretty good. But back to Bobbi Brown. These are the 2 duos. This one here is great for an everyday natural look. This one is a little bit deeper on me. And yeah, I really like it. But you can see that the brown in here is going to be warm tone. So would I purchase those again? I would. This is the Luxe Chicken Highlight Palette as well. And love the packaging on these. By the way, this is beveled here. This one here will lie pretty much flat in your drawer because this ledge is basically extending to the highest point, essentially. It might be like, it's a little bit higher on this point, but not enough that really makes a difference. However, these do not lie flat at all. So just something to note, because that is a little bit of an annoyance. So the Luxe Chicken Highlight Palette is very much like a lot of these palettes that Bobbi Brown puts out. So even though the shades are not necessarily repeat shades, they are very similar. We have Aura, Afternoon Glow, and Brilliant Bronze. So let me go ahead and swatch these. Formulas are very nice. Colors are nice, but they are very similar to what we see from Bobbi Brown. So if you already have a similar palette, it's close enough in my opinion. That being said, I do like the formulas, and would I purchase this again? I would, provided that I didn't already have a similar color palette. Moving on to Givenchy Holiday. This palette, it really kind of was different from what we've seen from a lot of the holiday releases this year. So to me, this is more of a party palette. It makes me think of New Year's more so than something like Christmas or Hanukkah. And, I think it's really fun. Now, it definitely has a lot of pinks. Just going to swatch a couple of the shades here. But I think it's a fun palette, nice colors, and yeah, so I would get this palette again. It's not an everyday palette for me, but it would be something fun for like a celebration. Now, along with the eyeshadow palette, they also came out with some lipsticks. They were re-promote shades, and I love their deep velvets and their sheer velvets. So I would pick those up again, particularly the Nude Boisé, which is the sheer velvet. Moving on, we have Tom Ford Holiday. This is the quad here in Lumiere d'Hiver. And I love the color story of this quad. Now, I do think Tom Ford pricing has gotten, it's really changed over the last couple of years, gotten a little bit pricier. And I would have to say that the shimmers in here are great. The mattes are just okay. So for the price point, you know, I think if you love Tom Ford, this is a great palette, but for the price point, I would expect the mattes to be a little bit better. That being said, me personally, I do really like this color story. It's a great everyday quad. I would pick this one up again, but it's not a favorite formula at all. So I do actually really like that one. But the star are the highlighters, which I've been using pretty much every day. So out of all of the highlighters that have come out this holiday season, the Chanel, the Cle de Peau, and so forth, these Tom Ford ones are my favorites. So right now I actually have on the Grand Paradis one. So you might be able to see that a bit on my cheeks. So that's this one here. We also have Rose Irisé. And I love both of these. So let me go ahead and swatch these. These can go on. You can get just a soft glisten. You can get a beaming highlight. The colors I think are fantastic. So I'm going to put these here and then I'm going to remove these swatches so we can move on. But look at those shades. Really, really pretty. The formula is great. I mean, they are expensive highlighters, but they're ones that I'm going to be using all the time. So for me, it's worth it. If you know, I felt like I had similar colors in my collection and, you know, kind of do, but kind of don't. So, you know, the pink was actually kind of, it reminds me a lot of my favorite Givenchy highlighter that they don't make anymore. And so that was a great thing for me finding, I mean, it's not a dupe, but close enough. And that was the Shimmer Couture powder in the pink. And this one here, I just think it's such a great champagne highlighter. I actually thought I'd have something similar to this, but I don't have anything quite like this. Pretty much everything, you know, that looks similar is more golden. So I think these are great highlighters and I would definitely purchase these again. So far, out of everything I've featured here, these are my favorite item that I've talked about so far this month. Definitely, I will have these in my top 5 at the end of the video. Moving on to Guerlain Holiday, and I have to say, the packaging did not wow me at all in photos, but I really like it in person. You can see this is multicolored glitter, and then you have this raised velvet. The palette itself, I like the palette. I wouldn't say it's my favorite or anything like that, but I do think it's a nice palette. The color story is definitely interesting. What really makes this palette, in my opinion, is this green shade, because there is no black or gray base to it, which is not that common. I also love this mulberry color. Now, the formula for this palette, I have to say, is not... It's totally fine. Nothing wrong with the formula. I like the formula, but it's not the same as those in the permanent quads. So if you're familiar with those in the permanent quads, they have a little bit of grip, a little tackiness to them, but we don't get that with this. This is more of a traditional powder. And yeah, overall, I'd buy this one again. I do really like this one. That being said, it is a little bit hard to wear just because you can see the color story is something that takes a little bit more creativity, at least for me. So I really like it, but again, it's not gonna be an everyday sort of palette. Moving on to other items, we have the meteorites, and I picked these up for the packaging. These are in the light shade. I would pick these up again, but I did already have the light shade in the new formula, and this is going to be warmer in tone than the previous version of meteorites in the shade light. So I wish they'd come out with a different color, but I do really like this packaging, so I'd pick this up again. And for anybody who doesn't have meteorites and you're looking for that warm candlelit glow, a little bit of shimmer, this is an amazing product to kind of buff into the skin. I think it's gorgeous. So really great. In addition, we have the lipsticks. So we have this green case here. This one here is shade 41, which is Untamed. Was it Untamed Tiger? I forget now. But I really like this shade. I think that is a great shade. We also have this one here is 521, and this case matches the one in the quad, and you can see that's a really nice matte pink. It's very similar to one of the summer shades that came out, so if you already have that, you don't need this one. They're very, very close. And then I also got this red in 234, And I have to say, I'm happy with all of these lipsticks. I think the Guerlain collection overall was a winner. So is anything truly a must-have? Personal preference, but I'd pick up all of these items again. Moving on, we have Chanel Holiday. And I have to say, I really love the Chanel Holiday collection this year. So these shades are all shimmery, so that's not gonna be for everybody. But I really like this palette. This is a great, if you like sparkle every day, you know, if you don't mind a little shimmer, then we do have more neutral shades here, so you can get a really pretty everyday look. You can also glam this up and make a deeper smoky look. So this is the palette in Lumiere Graphique. I absolutely love it. I've been wearing this one quite a bit, so that's definitely a winner. I also picked up one of the nail polishes in sequins is black with sparkle. Really like that one. And then the holiday highlighter is called Duo Lumiere. And I like it. It's glittery, so just something to note there. It is going to be a glittery highlight. And let me just mix those there. But I love the colors, and I think a little glitter is fine once in a while. So I definitely really like this highlighter. But I have to say, I picked up a couple of the oversized highlighters, and I was disappointed to see that the pearly white is very similar to the holiday highlighter. So you can see they're very close. It's also glittery. I like having a smaller glittery highlighter, but for a larger one, I would have preferred a different finish. I love the shade of it, but I do wish that it wasn't essentially like a pressed glitter. I also picked up the Precious Coral shade, and I think I like this shade a lot, but I would have loved to see a cooler tone like pink from them. This is definitely going to be like a peachy coral shade, but it has a nice satin finish to it. So would I pick up the oversized ones again? Honestly, I think I would just stick with the holiday highlighter. If I were to get one of these oversized ones again, I'd go with the Precious Coral. And then the holiday highlighter, I think, is a good replacement for the pearly white. I did not purchase the gold one. As for lipsticks, I do like the Rouge Allure L'Extrait lipsticks. There are 4 shades that they released with this collection. However, 2 of them are re-promotes. So I did find that to be a little disappointing. I also hate how if I want to find out what shade it is, I have to take this out. So this one here is 854 Rouge Puissant. Let's go ahead and put that there. I think it's a beautiful red. I actually really like all of the colors that they included in the collection. But I do wish that they didn't have re-promotes. This one here is 867 Midnight Red. And it is a soft formula. So I really like this one because it has a little bit of a metallic finish there. So what I mean when I say that they're a soft formula, it has nothing to do with the wear time or anything like that. That's really great with this formula. But because it is kind of a softer formula, when you use it, like you can see, well, let me show you one of the newer ones there, because that was 812 Beige Brute, which I actually bought originally. But I mean, like you can see how much use you get from this. So, you know, you go through the product relatively quickly. So just something to note. There's a 4th shade as well, but here are 3 of them. And overall, I thought the Chanel Holiday Collection was really great. So definitely a great collection. I also picked up from Chanel the Sublimage Le Concentré Lumiere. This is the liquid highlighter. And I have to say, I do really like this product as well. It is a liquid highlighter in a gel base. I like to use this under foundation, but it is sheer enough that I could use it on top. However, it's glittery. So I do wish that it was a little bit less glittery than it is. That being said, I really like to put this underneath foundation and you don't see so much of the glitter there. You just get a little bit of illumination and a tiny bit of glitter can shine through. But overall, I have to say it's a nice product. But if you don't like glitter, don't get that one. But I do like I think the formula is great. The color is nice. So overall, good product. So for the Chanel items, I kind of went through what I'd purchase again when discussing them. But overall, I'd say yes to the eyeshadow palette, the holiday highlighter, the Precious Coral highlighter, the lipsticks, provided you don't already have the two that are re-promotes, and I have those listed in my video on those as well. And the Lumiere, the Sublimage Lumiere highlighter. So those are all things that I would purchase again. I have to say, this is unfortunately a very heavy month of purchases. So moving on, we have the Koyudo Fupa 02. So I actually just used this one today. This one here is in pink, but right now they have it as a re-promote on Fude Beauty with a black handle. And this is a natural hair foundation brush. It's one of my favorites. I have probably 5 of them at this point that I use all the time. Because the shape itself is really great. You can see that it's dense enough to put it on. You can use it with powder. I like it best with liquid foundations, but the permanent version of this is now synthetic. So the natural hair ones you can only find when they come around again as some sort of like special edition. So right now Fude Beauty has those available as a special edition, and I would definitely recommend them. And I think, you know, they're well worth the price. You know, I have to check and see how much they are again, but you know, they're like $30, $35, something like that. Next, we have Westman Atelier, and I picked up the Les Etoiles holiday set. So the holiday items do come with red packaging, just like other Westman Atelier. This is going to be metal, so it's heavyweight. And this is the new powder blush in Petal. It's a really pretty dusty rose shade. The formula is kind of a creamy powder, very easy to use, longevity is great. And what they did in this set is they kind of reimagined some classic shades in different formulas. So we have Biscuit, which is our classic contour shade, as a lit up highlighter stick. And I'm actually wearing this right now on my cheeks underneath my foundation, and I really like it. But I also think it's just a beautiful shade to wear, particularly during the summer. You know, if you've got your bronzer on as blush and then you just use a little bit of this as a highlighter on top, I think it goes beautifully. And then we have the lip gloss in Nectar, which is a lit up shade, and it's very light. I do like the lip gloss. Honestly, it's not going to give you a ton of color though. So, you know, I think the highlight in this box is definitely the blush. I definitely purchase this box again. I really like the products, you know, and I think it's a great thing. One thing to note, the products are really hard to get out of the gift box that it comes in. So they're like glued in there. So just something to know. I used a palette spatula to kind of scoop those out and separate them from the glue. So just something to note there. If you're giving this as a gift to somebody who might have a hard time with that, you might want to loosen them up first. In addition, something else I've absolutely been loving is the new mascara from Westman Atelier. And I have it in brown, and I am definitely repurchasing this. I'm actually going to pick up another one during the Sephora sale. So I love this. I have it on right now. I think it's just a great everyday brow mascara. So I always love the Sisley So Stretch mascara in brown, which I still absolutely love. But this is like half the price. So I think I'll probably be using this more frequently. So yeah, this I think is a really great everyday mascara. You get a little bit of length, a little bit of volume. It's very, you know, your lashes look clean and not clumpy. So, which for me, that's how I prefer mine. So yeah, I'm definitely going to pick up another of the mascaras. Next, we have the Rephr holiday brush and that collection. So these were gifted to me, but I have to say I really, really love this. It's Saibikaho hair, which is really hard to get. And, you know, it's rare. It's very soft, but it's still you've got kind of that resiliency there. And I absolutely love it. So this and the mini and max eye sets, I have been using these all the time. So I got another set as well. So of everything. So yeah, I got one of the brushes as a gift for a friend, and yeah, I'm really happy with these. I've been really loving the eye brushes because it's really hard to find small eye brushes. And I think the mini set in particular works really well with my eyes, but I've also been really enjoying the max as well. So I picked up one of each of those. Then this was also gifted to me. This was the ESUM Elevate palette. And I have to say, I love this. So I've really been enjoying the other ESUM palettes that have come out so far. I have the other two that I purchased, and this one here, I have to say, I really love the colors in here. The other shimmery palette that's out is a bit more neutral. This is more of your fun colors. And we've got some kind of some light iridescent shades, some medium tone. I'll just swatch the purple row for you guys, or column. And I mean, look at that. I love how we've got cooler and warmer tone shades for each of the color groups. These are all shimmers in this palette. I think they did such a great job on this, and I really, really like this palette. So this I would definitely purchase again. Next, we have the SUQQU Winter and Anniversary collection. So I'm not going to talk about the anniversary so much, but I would pick this up again. They're nice, special collections, you know, but honestly, they're pretty much out of stock. So let's not dwell on that. But the palettes for this collection, this here is 130. I have to say, I really have been loving both of these palettes. This one here kind of surprised me because there we go. So those are the 4 shades. So I just, you know, from the photos, I thought this was going to be a lot brighter, kind of harder to use. But I do really like the color story, and you can layer these and get different nuances. You know, these are going to be sparkly. They're definitely sparkly for SUQQU. But I have to say, I really love both of the palettes from this collection. Also from the collection, we've got a couple of glosses, we've got some blushes and so forth. And, you know, I've really been enjoying them. But for me, my favorites are the 2 eyeshadow quads from this collection. Then I'd probably have to go with the lip gloss. And this is the one I've been using the most. It's shade 105. And it has a little bit of sparkle in it, but you can see it's a pretty rosy shade. And yeah, I really like that. We also have a couple Tone Touch eyes in here, and this is my favorite of those. I like these as an eyeshadow base. And this one here is kind of brown with like some bluish green shimmer, but you can see when you kind of spread that out, it's more of a mauvey shade, like a dusty mauve. Really gorgeous. Now, I'm a huge SUQQU fan, and I pretty much always pick up everything from their collections. I wouldn't hesitate to purchase these again. But again, if you are trying to kind of narrow things down, I would say the eyeshadow quads and the lip gloss in 105, those would be my favorites. Moving on, we have the new Byredo palette. And this actually hasn't launched here in the US yet. So this should be coming out. Sometimes it takes a little while, but this will be coming out. We've got more of a neutral color story with warm and cool tones. The formula of this is not the same as previous Byredo palettes. It is not as creamy. It's more, I wouldn't say it's exactly your traditional powder formula. It still has some creaminess to it, but it doesn't have that same like creamy, velvety, grippy kind of formula. That being said, I still really like it. I think it's a nice formula, and I love the color story here. So I would definitely pick this one up again. I do wish that they still had the other formula in this, but you know, I think this is a great everyday palette. So I'd pick this one up again. In addition, this was sent to me. This is from Laura Geller. It is one of their marble blushes in Rose Bronze. I think it's a really pretty shade. Nice baked formula here, and you can see it's kind of a warm dusty rose. Really like this one. I would purchase that, and they were actually kind enough to send me their new serum blushes, which I'll have a video on these soon, but I've been testing them out. So right now I'm wearing one of those. I'm wearing the shade Practical Pink. These are kind of a very light serum blush. You can see you can really sheer those out. You can also build it up. So I've been testing these for a couple of days now, but yeah, I think really nice products. So I think I would pick those up. And then we also have, the Tom Ford Rose Lip Oil. Now this lip oil, is it anything special? Not really. So if you've got some extra money to spend though, I think it's a really nice lip oil. I've actually been using it a lot. It's pretty much kind of like a clear lip oil gloss. And yeah, you're not really getting any pink or anything from it. It's clear. So it does have the scent of roses, but I have to say I've been using this a lot just to kind of, you know, add a little topper, refresh as for a little moisture and so forth. And so I really like it. I think it's nice to have, but it's definitely not a necessity. And I do wish that it was more of a like a soft pink or something. But no, it's clear. That being said, I'd still pick this up again, but since it is clear, I'd try and get it on sale. Moving on to the Hermes eyeshadow collection. And I have to say, I was not blown away with the formulas on here. I think they're nice. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not like a bad formula, but for the price I was expecting more. So I feel like they're nice, but for the price point, I would have preferred something more unique. That being said, I do like the color stories in particular. This one here is my favorite out of the two I picked up. This is number 2, Ombre Vegetal. This green though, by the way, is very similar to the Prada green in that palette. So just something to note. But these are really going to be more of a traditional eyeshadow palette. So would I pick those up again? I would pick up the quads again if there was a color story that really blew me away. But otherwise, you know, if it's just kind of a regular color story or something you've seen in other palettes, I'd probably pass for something less expensive. You know, I don't think they are quite there for that price point in the level of uniqueness you get for that. However, they did come out with mascaras, color mascaras. I'm really loving this purple mascara that I picked up. I like the skinny wand. It's really easy to use. I love the shade of purple. Let me go ahead and swatch that. I'm definitely going to be picking up more of these in the future. So when I need more mascara, the purple I'll get, you know, I'll probably go with the blue and the green. You know, I really like those. So I will try my best to get those on sale. You know, if you aren't familiar with Saks and so forth, if you want to kind of create an account, leave your items in your cart for a while, they will often send you an email for like 15% off or 20% off or whatever. Sometimes it excludes beauty, sometimes it doesn't. If it does, just wait. They'll send you another one a few weeks later usually. And yeah, that's probably how I'll do it to get more mascara in the future. I also picked up the Hermes eye brushes. Now, I have to say, are these worth it for the level and quality of the brush itself? No. However, if you love the packaging and something you're going to be using a lot, then they're nice to have. But you can definitely get better brushes for a much less expensive price point. Look at SUQQU and Rephr, What's Up Beauty, and so forth. So I have to say, though, I do really like this liner brush because you can see how it glides on the skin and it's finer than many others. So I think that makes it stand out. So that is one that I'd recommend. I also like the shader brush here. It is soft. It's a mix of goat and synthetic, but really easy to use. This one is nice. The blending brush, I don't like. This one is kind of scratchy. And so I would pass on the blending brush. I also have the spoolie, which I really like the spoolie. So yeah, I think that, you know, is it super unique and different from others? Not really, but it's nice to have. And if it's something you use every day, sometimes it's nice to have that special handle. So I would purchase all of the brushes again on sale. I got these 20% off from Saks by, you know, waiting for one of those coupons in my cart. And it just so happened to come up at the same time as his launch. I'd purchase them all again, except for the blending brush. I would pass on this. However, I wouldn't pay full price for these brushes. Next, Valentino Holiday. I have to say, I love the packaging. This is the Pink is Punk blush. I love the Valentino blushes. I think this shade here is a nice addition. I would pick this up again. I also picked up one of the lipsticks, which is somewhere around here in this mess. But it is, the lipstick shades are both Repr, so you can get them in the permanent packaging. However, I do like the one that I picked up. I picked up the lighter one in 100R Roman Grace. So I'd get that one again as well. And the other blush offered in the holiday collection is this one here. I have it in the permanent packaging. This is shade 03. It's one of my absolute favorite blushes. So I would definitely recommend picking this one up if you don't already have it. I personally love the holiday packaging. So, and yeah, I would get that again. By the way, the lipsticks are refillable. So the lipstick packaging is refillable, but the blush packaging is not. I also purchased one of the Urban Decay Moon Dust palettes. I actually purchased the other one, but it went missing, so I have to reorder that. And I Haven't done that yet, but this is Galactic Cowgirl. This is nice if you like glittery shadows. They're definitely sparkly. My favorites are these last two shades. You have kind of this white and a silvery blue. But I like it. I think it's a fun palette. I'd pick it up again. I was actually trying to get the other palette from Sephora, but unfortunately I had all these account issues. I couldn't order immediately and then it sold out. So hopefully that'll come back before the sale's over. As for Sephora Collection products, I mentioned a few that I thought were nice, like these blushes. You can find a nice color there. I think that's, you know, a good product to look at. I think these golden hour highlighters are nice. You've got one side that's more intense and one side that's less intense. I also thought the little shadows are nice. So nice way to pick up some different colors. The glosses are nice. But for me, what I really liked from there so far that I've tried would be the lip liners. This one here is the lip liner in Bellflower, and it's one of my favorites, so I'm picking up more of these from Sephora. Then we took a look at the YSL Holiday Palette. I have it in the permanent packaging and not the holiday one, but this is number 910, and I think it's a nice palette. Would I pick this up again? You know, I probably would. That being said, you probably already have these colors in your collection, you know, so is it necessary? Not really, but I think it's a nice formula and I think it's a nice color story, so I'd pick that one up again. We also took a look at the new YSL Rouge Pure Couture lipsticks and I thought these were really nice, so I would pick these up again, and I probably will. They do run warmer than the promo photos, so this one here, shade 3. And then we had the Tanseido brushes, and these two were gifted to me. I purchased this one, and these are red squirrel hair. They are incredibly soft, and honestly, I'm so grateful that these were gifted to me by Fude Beauty. I really appreciate it. I would purchase all of these. They are a luxe, expensive brush. Do I buy brushes like this all the time? No, but I do, you know, a couple a year. I have kind of a price limit in my head. And so for how nice these are, they are definitely ones that I would put on my purchase list. So I really love how light and airy they are. They're really great for applying more pigmented products in a very light, soft application, which is really great for somebody with fair skin. So I think that's fantastic. This one here I like for a very light dusting of powder so you don't get any sort of dry, powdery look. So this one is from the AKA series with the red ombre handle. So it is the AC28. Then this is the AQ17 and the AQ20. These are bamboo. So we've got the Take and the Shina Take. And I like having the different handles. I like the different sizes. I think these two would be first on my purchase list, the powder brush and the AC28, because again, it's just such a great powder brush. And then I think the AQ17 is such a great blush size, but you can also use it for other things. So if I were trying to pick, I would go with AQ17 first and then move on to the 20. So that sums up all of the new items on my channel this month. I have to say, this was a good month. You know, there were a lot of things that I really liked here and definitely some real favorites. So let's go through my top 5. All right, so top 5, these probably won't come to too much of a surprise, but I have to say it's always hard to narrow things down. So the Tom Ford highlighters, between the two, honestly, I like both colors. So I don't have a favorite between the two, but I think one of them, it would be awesome to have. So that's definitely on my top 5. I also wanted to include the Chanel Lumiere Graphique. It's just such a nice palette. I love the colors. I love the shimmer. So that's in there. I also wanted to include this ESUM palette. And, you know, it was a hard choice between this and the SUQQU palette in 130. But I went with this one because, again, we got more options. And yeah, I just can't resist the purples, teals, and greens in there. So that is going to be in there. We also have the Westman Atelier mascara. And again, in the brown shade. I'm so happy with this brown shade. And then the Valentino blush. really loving this. So those will be my top 5 this month. I'd love to know what you've been enjoying this month, any things that really didn't work out for you either. So please share down below in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. And by the way, let me know if you're interested in sort of a holiday rundown, you know, which holiday items, you know, I've kind of covered them all in these repurchase reviews from this month and last month. But if you want them all together, let me know. And I'll see you very soon. Have a great day.